Yeah, hello and welcome to a program I've dubbed In the Interest of Humanity. My name is Alhaji Irbadi Ibrahim from the Republic of Ghana in West Africa. And today I'm going to discuss an important topic. Who are our heroes and heroines as youth on the African continent? Who are the people presented to us as young entrepreneurs we should learn from? The story is breaking about a Nigerian young man, Obinwani Okeke. Obinwani Okeke is currently being investigated by the FBI in the United States vis-a-vis what is seen as a fraudulent transaction. But let me read a little bit of the nice things that have been said about Obinwani Okeke. These people, I don't know, please, the gentleman is undergoing trial, and the fact that you're undergoing trial doesn't mean you are guilty. It's the early days yet. But how many times have you heard that a young man on the continent is doing well? A young man is less than 30 or is less than 40 and is doing this well, and we all have to learn from them. For the shining examples, whose sources of wealth we know, like footballers and people who are musicians, even though I don't subscribe to the pop culture. If Akon is worth a number of millions of dollars, you would understand, looking at his track record of working as a musician in the US, or a footballer owning something, you would know, or a boxer owning something, or an actor owning something. But when young men just spring up out of nowhere and they are pushed down our throats as the models we should all look up to, when we can't answer basic questions like when and how did you get your startup capital, then our definition of entrepreneurship needs a serious rethink on the continent. This gentleman is undergoing trial over an $11 million or a $12 million issue. I wouldn't want to call it fraud because the investigations are not conclusive. And look, he was empaneled in one of the programs, and listen to the preamble and the kind of introduction he was given.
To the special installment of Young Money. I'm Nozi Pumbanjwa. Today we're speaking to some of Africa's 30 under 30 entrepreneurs. We'll be talking about the state of entrepreneurship in Africa, tackling issues around starting up in various industries. We're going to be looking at funding issues, infrastructure, red tape issues, and of course the level of support by African enterprises, by consumers, and of course by their governments. You can look forward to really thought-provoking conversations. Now, I'm going to start off the discussion by introducing my panel. We are joined by Casey Bridgeford. He is the founder of Oncast Media, and he's joining us from the US, not a 30 under 30 member, but certainly going to be offering us interesting insights from the American market. And straight next to him is Nkosana Mazibisa. He's the founder of Mazibisa Inc. Nadab Osandriver is the founder of Latest Sightings, and Obiwane Okeke, who's the founder of Invictus Group. This is our panel for the first half of the show. And when we take a break and come back in the second half of the show, we bring you more 30 under 30 entrepreneurs.
So you see, on this continent, we glorify people who just come across as wealthy people. I'm in the Republic of Ghana. There are people younger than me. We aren't saying it is a crime to be successful, but you need a college degree, startup work, you start up small. For people whose wealth we know are legit, they get this, track record. That is a testament to their toil and sweat. Bill Gates didn't just spring out of nowhere. Mark Zuckerberg didn't spring out of nowhere. These people who are called millionaires or billionaires in other jurisdictions other than the African continent or on the African continent have a track record of work. They have a track record of invention. They have a track record of doing something innovative. But on this continent, our definition of a young, successful person is, well, he's into oil and gas. How he started, nobody questions him. Or he's an entrepreneur, he's into real estate. People don't question how these young people make money. Look at the colorful definitions that are given and descriptions that are given to such people, only for us eventually to realize maybe all along they weren't the people we thought when the bubble bursts. And look at the description that is given to this gentleman, Obiwani Okeke. He's currently undergoing trial over an $11 million or a $12 million issue in the United States, being handled by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI. They said Nigerian-born businessman Obiwani Okeke, chairman and CEO at Invictus Group of Companies and recent honoree of the Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 class of 2016, Makamba Online recently sat down with this successful African entrepreneur to discuss his secret to success. Obiwani Okeke, a dream to succeed. Okeke says he has harnessed his entrepreneurial skills from a very young age, but that it wasn't until he enrolled at university in 2008 that he would take the plunge into the business world. I first registered my events company with the name Invictus, inspired by Invictus poem by William Ernest Henley. The poem is about the undefeated and unconquerable soul of a hard worker from an impoverished background, but who won't give up. This portrays my story. Okeke explains of his thinking behind the name of his company. All well and good. We aren't saying people who come from deprived backgrounds should not grow through the socioeconomic, pedestal to become role models. But when you do that, don't do that behind the false cloak of entrepreneurship while you engage in activities I may not call fraudulent because this case is not yet conclusive, but the treasure trove of documents that have been presented in court are quite compelling. I don't know the guy. I've never followed him. I've never followed his story. It just popped up. And every now and then such stories come of a Ghanaian living in the UK who is seen as a successful entrepreneur and turns out to be a fraudster, of a Nigerian living somewhere, a Kenyan, an Ethiopian. These are the people we rally as role models to the African youth. The basic question we need to ask is, what is the source of your wealth? For you to tell people I'm into oil and gas or I'm into the real estate business, it's not enough. What is your source of wealth? This is a basic question that we need to start asking as a people. And on this same gentleman, Forbes magazine, and of course, these kind of, publications lend credence to some of the activities done by these people. And a gentleman wrote an article on this issue, which was published by the Sahara Reporters. He says, Obiwani Okeke is symptomatic of how materialistic we have become as a continent. I need to pull up the gentleman's name to give him some credit for what he wrote. He said in the local parlance, Pidgin English in Nigeria, he said, this guy, the gentleman, Obiwani Okeke, is only the vomit, but the real cholera that creates the vomit is in us. He says, I shine past you. That is the cliche some people use. No, be ordinary Camry you they use or you they drive. It be common pencil, the big man attitude, and all those big fish, some of these things we mentioned. So therefore, I believe that as a people, we need to take a minute and ponder over what the definition of entrepreneurship is, what the definition of a business magnate or conglomerate is, What is the definition of a successful African youth story that all African youth should learn from, rather than just following people because they have the flashiest of cars? Even in my own country, the Republic of Ghana, people flaunt wealth. Nobody questions them the source of that wealth. And it is these same people that are presented to the young as role models. And they end up becoming fraudulent people. Ask people the source of their wealth before you pull them up or hold them up as success stories African youth should learn from or should emulate. So Obinwani Okeke, hit him up and find out more about this case. All along, he has been presented as a success story. Forbes magazine published him as one of the successful people under the age of 30 the world and the African continent should look up to, only for the bubble to burst, only for this case to come out that he's being investigated by the FBI over a fraudulent $11 million or a $12 million case. Do you have any such young people in your country, anywhere on this continent? How can this society regain its conscience and question people the source of their wealth? It is not enough to have the best mansion in your little corner in your neighborhood and you are seen as a role model to the young people in your area. It is not enough for you to have a fleet of cars when you can't answer how you came about those cars. Some people engage in fraud and call it entrepreneurship. Some people engage in blood money and call it business savvy. And these are the same people that are presented to the African youth as role models that we should emulate. So therefore, let's go back to our roots as a people. 30 years, 40 years ago, before an African could build a house, we saw the toil and sweat. Only 3 decades ago, a teacher would have to teach for a number of years before buying their first parcel of land. There are 20-year-olds that own mansions on this continent of Africa, and nobody questions them. They are called business savvy people. They are called entrepreneurs. They are called dons in the real estate industry, in oil and gas, and nobody questions their source of wealth. For every successful businessman, the person can tell you what their first capital was and how they came by that capital, and the ups and downs they underwent before they became successful. But out of nowhere, the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry and blogging would present people to you and to me as entrepreneurs, when in fact, behind that facade is a syndicate, a well-choreographed syndicate that carries out international fraud. So therefore, the real role model you need to take is the elementary school teacher you have known for the past 5 years that makes wholesome living from his toil and sweat. The real role model you should take as a youth on the continent is the nurse you see report to work in the wee hours of the day and close late at night just to help the sick and make a living out of it. Those are the people we need to put up as role models for the young to emulate, not people who make money out of nowhere, calling fraudulent activities entrepreneurship and blood money business savvy. I hope this helps. Take care and bye-bye.